BLV football fans, today we have a very special guest, man. One of my favorite Patriots football players of all time. A three-time Super Bowl champ, a clutch performer, one of the unsung heroes of the Patriots dynasty. Some even say the real MVP of Super Bowl 51. Some do say that. Sweet feet, James White. What's going on, James? How you doing, man?
Doing well, man. Can't complain. Thanks for having me on.
So this is happening because I saw your podcast and I was like, oh, he's doing the podcast thing like a lot of other football players.
Yeah.
I was wondering, what better opportunity to get James White on the BLV than to ask him about his podcast. So I just want to give you the platform because I've seen you've already interviewed some great guests. Matthew Judon was on there, Chris Long, Kendrick Bourne, a lot of others. So the Money Down podcast is what it's called. Just let the people know where they can find it. I'll put it, link in the description, pin comment for you guys to check out. But James, go ahead, tell them.
Yeah, you guys can check out the Money Down podcast. It's myself, James White, along with two of my former Wisconsin Badger teammates, Jordan Shelton, Warren Herron. We started this about 3 or 4 months ago, talking, all football, college, NFL, sports, culture, life, mental health, fitness, a little bit of everything, just chopping it up. We previously had a podcast just talking about Wisconsin football. We enjoyed doing it, and we decided to expand on it a little bit because we all have, a wide range of knowledge. We know quite a few people. Let them share their stories. Like the big part of the podcast, obviously we're going to talk football, but when we say money down, we feel like it applies to life too. There's always like a situation for somebody where you got to go all in, put all your chips in, bet on yourself, and say this is what I want to do, and that's what I have to do it. And we call that a money down moment, which we try and ask every person who comes onto our podcast, which is pretty cool. But we're on IG, we're on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We're on YouTube, the Money Down podcast. You can find us. We're on TikTok, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on everything you need. We're on there. So make sure you check us out.
Sounds good. I know one place you weren't on was the greatest roast of all time. I have to start there, James. I have to start there. I'm sorry. The greatest roast of all time. I didn't expect it to be that funny. I didn't expect it to be that good. What's up with that? Why didn't you get the invite, first of all? And then did you watch it? What did you make of it?
I don't know why I didn't get the invite. I don't get invited to those type of things for whatever reason. I wasn't in the dynasty and all that, and I wasn't in that. It's all right. It's all love between all those guys. But I thought it was epic, man. I didn't know what to expect from it. I knew Julian would be reckless. I knew Gronk would be reckless. I didn't know, all the comedians would be involved, but I thought they did a heck of a job. It wasn't suited for everybody. Like if you don't like dark humor, like I suggest you probably don't turn that on because there's some wild stuff said. But I enjoyed it. I was laughing from the beginning to the end. I thought Kevin Hart did a great job hosting it. He, as soon as he opened up, he kind of let you know what it was going to be like. He was saying some wild stuff off the rip, and I feel like everybody had plenty of stuff planned. So I thought it was really cool because I haven't really watched many roasts. And like I said, for that one to be the first one in a long time, I said that's good. That's setting the bar extremely high.
Was there anything that was said Patriot related or anything where you're like, whoa, I'm surprised that came up or they said that?
No, nothing surprising came out of it. It's just funny to see all the little things that, people are on edge about, they were able to joke about it and everybody laughed at a good time. Kraft getting after Tom with the Jimmy Garoppolo thing, Bill getting after Gronk with his sports broadcasting career, Tom getting at Julian saying he wants to be like him, but he'll never be him. It's just a little bit of everything. Drew Bledsoe getting up there saying that he hates Tom and all that, whatever. It was just fun to see, man. Everybody keeping it light when, there's a lot of stories out there about, relationships between everybody, but for them to all come together, laugh and have a good time was pretty cool.
If you had 1 minute for Tom, what would you have said up there? Any story or anything?
I do have something, but I'm gonna save it because I'll be at his Hall of Fame induction for the Patriots. So if I get a microphone there, I might have a word or two.
Nice little tease. Okay, I see you. I do have to ask you though, because I thought Gronk got absolutely killed on there. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I have to ask you, is Gronk really that dumb? Because Patriots fans want to know, is he really that dumb? Or is this just something people make fun of him for?
No, he's not really that dumb. He's just he's an athlete. He's whatever. He probably looks like your quote unquote jock, but he's a smart dude. He works hard. Like he's huge. He's goofy. I think that's really like the big thing. He's very goofy for how big he is. You don't typically see that all the time. It's a little out of the ordinary, but he's a smart dude. But yeah, we recorded my podcast last night, and I talked about it. We had LeGarrette Blount back on there. I was like, Gronk damn near got it worse than Tom throughout the whole episode.
He did.
Everybody who went up there was calling him stupid. So it was like, and you can tell it got to him a little bit. By the time he got on the stage, got to his roast part, he was on edge a little bit. That's why he spiked the shot glass and all that. But yeah, I thought he got a little bit tough out there.
Yeah, he was no selling at the end there. He was just like, it was funny though. But last question about the roast, extremely important. Okay, Randy Moss was asking about rings. Are you willing to give a ring to Randy Moss to make him happy or what?
I give him my first one because I didn't play in that Super Bowl.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
He can have that one. That's my honorary ring, like how he got after Nate Ebner took a low blow there.
Yeah,
who the hell is Nate Ebner? And then Ebner posted his rings the other day. So he has 3 of them. He's like, thanks for the shout out.
When it comes to Tom, was there a moment when you were playing with him where you seemed to it clicked for you and him? Like you seemed to gain his trust on third down, money down, or whatever?
Yeah.
Or was there like a play, a game, a moment, a series where that happened for you guys?
For me, I feel like my rookie year, I feel like we kind of started to build, some sort of connection. I didn't play like whatsoever.
Yeah.
I only played games, kind of clean up duty. So we started to build like a little bit connection there. But then the next season, I still wasn't playing early on. I didn't start playing until Deion Lewis, unfortunately tore his ACL, and that's when I got my opportunity. But the Eagles game in 2015, we lost that game. Like Darren Sproles ran back like a couple punt returns or something. They blocked the punt. It was a highlight reel for them. They were scoring any certain type of way, and I had like 100 yards receiving. I think that might have been my only 100-yard receiving game before the Super Bowl and everything. But in that game, I was like one of the few guys that Tom was looking to consistently throughout the game, and that like from that moment on, like even like before the ball snap, he'd be like, "Get open," like that type of thing. Like we just started to build a trust and chemistry at that point, and just after that, I just feel like it was a huge connection going forward.
I actually, that's funny you say that about get open before the play. I remember a clip from him in Tampa, I think it was, and he said like the coverage to one of the running backs. Did he do that?
Yeah, he'll do that from time to time. Not every single time, but
okay.
If he gets a look that he doesn't like the routes on the outside or the route combination, probably is going to give them a little bit of trouble. He'll be like, "I'm gonna need you right here. Just get open, get around quick. The ball's coming to you. You just make a play, get a few yards, get a first down, or just get it, the second or third and manageable." So he does a great job, obviously, of dissecting defenses, pre-snap, and if he has a problem, he's trying to get the ball out of his hands quickly.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned a lot of people forget that you didn't really play in your first year because, of course, Patriots had Shane Vereen there, who was a machine as well. And it's kind of interesting now. I know you don't play quarterback, but there's a lot of thought that Drake Maye might have to sit his first year or learn behind a mentor type as well. Yeah. And you kind of had that same experience, but at a different position. Is there anything you took from that experience? And what did it really help you grow as a player once you got in? And what advice would you give a Drake Maye type?
For me, I think it's always best for these, first-round quarterbacks, second-round quarterbacks, however it may be to, sit and learn, unless they just go out outright during training camp, OTAs, and they're just like head and shoulders above the next person. Then sure, they earn it, put them out there. But I think it's a learning curve at the quarterback position. There's so much that you have to know for protections, the routes, to run schemes, mic points. There's a lot. And each and every week you may see something different. There's going to be some ups and downs. So the more you can let a guy sit back and learn from somebody in front of them and to, practice against the first team defense throughout the entire year or halfway throughout the year. And then once he earns a spot, I think that's so beneficial for these guys. Not as much pressure thrown on them, right away. Like, oh, we got this guy number 3 overall. Like, we need to go undefeated this year. Like, I need to see something right away. That's what people expect. They want to see results immediately. Which, hey, that's fair sometimes. But I think it's always better for a guy to sit back, and if he earns it, he earns it. I know for me, a little bit different. I play running back. The running backs you can walk into any room and you can start your rookie season, you can contribute your rookie season. Didn't happen that way for me, but it definitely benefited for me. I was extra motivated to finally get my opportunity to be on the field and capitalize on my opportunity and never look back. And I learned so much from Shane, just watching his routine, the way he was reliable on third down, on first down, on second down, in crucial situations in the games, like Kevin Falk, seeing him do it, Danny Woodhead, guys like that do it. So I knew for me being in that role, I wanted to emulate those guys and put my own stamp on it.
You think the Patriots have been missing that running back that comes out of the backfield, runs routes, and catches the ball in big situations? Like, I know they signed Antonio Gibson, who's a former receiver, of course, and a different skill set and different type of back, obviously new offense in New England. So do you think he maybe can take that spot, or do you think they're just missing it in general and need to find somebody?
Yeah, Antonio Gibson could be a guy who can fill that role. I don't know what's going to be their offensive identity. I haven't, really honed in on Alex Van Pelt's offense and Cleveland and all that. But Ramondre's a guy. He can play, all 3 downs. He can run routes. He's shown it, over the last several seasons. Like, you wouldn't necessarily expect it from him, but he's a bigger dude, but he's shifty. He can catch the football. So he can be a guy who can do that. But I think it's always cool when you have a specific guy that really, inserts himself in that situation, because the defense really has to, they may shift up the defense. So I'm like, okay, Antonio Gibson's in the game. Maybe we have to run a little bit more zone. We don't want him matched up on one of our linebackers. So it's a little bit of a scheme thing. I don't know if that's what, Alex Van Pelt is going to do, but Antonio Gibson or Ramondre are guys who can get that done.
Was there anyone you played in your career, like a linebacker, for example, where it was like, man, I got to run this route against this guy, potentially man-to-man or whatever, and I got to get open, and he was, like, really good? Like, was there anybody that stood out to you that was real tough?
I think me and Malcolm Jenkins, we had a lot of back. We'd always match up, whether him on the Saints or whether he was on the Philadelphia Eagles. Whenever we play, we get matched up a ton. And like I said, I win some, I lose some. He's a good football player, smart, savvy. Played corner in college, was a bigger corner. So we had some epic battles whenever we went up against each other.
That's a good one. I didn't really think of that one. He was good though, man. Yeah. How about defenses in general? I'm just kind of curious to hear from like your perspective. Defenses in general that you guys played where it was hard to prepare for them, or like specifically for the running backs, maybe protection wise or coverage wise or anything.
It's tough. The Denver Broncos in 2015, like when the year they won the Super Bowl, that was a tough match. It wasn't really like blitz scheme wise. They just had a ton of talent from the front seven: Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, like Terrence Knighton, the safeties. They had like Darian Stewart, Ward. They have Akeem Talib, Chris Harris, Bradley Roby. There was so much talent there. It was always a tough battle going up against those guys. And for any other defense, anytime you go up against the Baltimore Ravens, they're always a tough out on defense with the blitzes, the physical ability that they have. No matter who's on the roster, they find a way to get the job done at a high level. Then playing like a Todd Bowles defense or playing a Rex Ryan defense, they throw crazy blitzes on third down, so you always have to be alert at running back and stay focused and locked in, because they create random stuff, and they're going to throw the most unbelievable blitzes at you. If you're not prepared, they're going to keep sending it at you.
In terms of defensive players, played for the Patriots, now the head coach, all-time Patriot, Jerod Mayo. I think you guys cross over like your final year, maybe the second year a little bit.
First 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. So he's now, of course, I think the last first-round pick, the highest pick for the Patriots, and now it's Drake Maye, and now he's the head coach, which is crazy for me to think about. But what do you make of Jerod Mayo? So far, I kind of like him as the coach, but I don't know him personally. Is there one quality that you think stands out with Mayo as the coach that will make him a good one for the Patriots?
I mean, he's a leader. I mean, that's what you want, at your head coach position. You want a guy who can lead men. a guy when he speaks, people listen. I mean, that's what Bill did. I believe Jerod can do that. He's done that over the last several years, coaching, linebackers, being, calling. I'm sure he was a part of calling the plays as well when it came to game day. I didn't play defense, so I don't I don't know all of that. But he brings energy too. He brought energy as a player, like one of the loudest guys in the locker room, whether it's morning, nighttime, during practice, after practice. And he also just knows the game of football. And as a coach, you have to study the game and know it, at a very high level. So I think he has all the qualities to be a great head coach. And he got to learn from Bill. He played when we were one of the greatest teams in the league, and he coached over the last several years where we took a little bit of a dip off. So he's seen the highs, he's seen the lows, and I'm sure he's going to find what we did well, what we didn't well, and try and figure out to maximize the potential of the guys that he has on the roster.
Give it time, fans. Give it time. Don't rush it. Don't want to get them fired right away. I know how Patriots fans are, man.
they're gonna compete. Like they're gonna be every game. Over the last several years, they've been in the majority of the games. Yeah. Just offensively, they haven't been able to pick up their slack. Like it's not like they're gonna get blown out and all that. Like I don't know, like if they can make the playoffs next year. I don't know if that's like an expectation. But in year 2, I fully expect like for them to be competing to win the AFC East or competing to be number 1 seed. All that. I think that's a realistic expectation.
I agree with you. I think this year still work in progress. I think next year. I just don't think people understand how good the defense is right now. I think the defense was great last year and even the year before. I think going into this season, it's going to be really strong once again. And hopefully, the offense can get going a little bit, especially if Drake becomes what he could become early in his career. We saw it with CJ last year, but we'll see what happens. But speaking of, the draft and new season with offense, it was an offense-heavy draft, which is very strange as a Patriots fan. Very strange. Does anyone stand out to you in that draft class that you're really intrigued by? One of the receivers, offensive linemen, or anything?
I mean, I think they filled in, some of the voids that they needed. Receiver, offensive tackle, Caden Wallace out of Penn State, getting the guard, I believe, from Texas A&M. So they needed those pieces, building some depth there because you can't do anything if your line's not protecting the quarterback or opening up holes in the run game. So I thought that was very important. I like the Jalen Polk pick. I know he's not the quote-unquote sexy receiver, but he's a guy that gets the job done, and that's the type of guy I want on my football team, the guy who can make the contested catches. He's going to run the routes. He's going to block. He's a team football player. He's going to compete. I think that's what Patriot football is all about. It's not, running 4 threes and doing all that. It's just going out there competing and winning those reps. And then obviously – the guy that we all want to see is, Javon Baker. I mean, that's the guy. He put the star on his back, already. And like I said, you see little clips of him on, whatever, Instagram, YouTube, all that. He's putting the work in. So he's a guy who I'm definitely excited to watch. There's a lot of depth in that receiver room too. So like, who's going to be the odd man out? I know they don't have quote unquote people say number 1 receiver, but I don't think that necessarily matters. You have a bunch of guys who can get open consistently. No matter if you have, number 1 guy, you can pick your poison. And if all those guys can win in man-to-man coverage, which I think they can do, is just can they consistently do
it? Offense and defense this year, young players, you brought up Polk, you brought up Baker. Is there a guy that you think could be a breakout on either side of the ball, like that maybe we don't see coming, offense, defense?
Breakout player.
Like a second or third or fourth year player that maybe hasn't quite gotten there yet, but could get there this year?
I mean, offensively, who I would love to see is Tyquan Thornton, just because he's the one guy in the receiver room. He's a little bit different than the rest of them. Yet he has the speed. And what I told him when I was there for a little bit of time that I spent with him the year I retired is like everybody's going to feel threatened by you when they step in front of you at the defensive back position. Use that to your advantage. You have the ability to get in and out of your cuts and make people miss and all that. So use that. Don't be tiptoeing out there. Use that speed on all your routes. So he's the one different guy in that receiver room. So I would love for him. New coaching staff, new offensive coordinator, get a fresh start. I want to see him, take off in year 3. We've seen a few flashes of it, just very inconsistent. So the talent is there. Defensively, I'll say Marcus Jones, he had really, really good rookie season,
good
got
one.
hurt last year. So I'm sure he's, chippy to get back out there, get back returning punts and kicks where he can make his splashes there. But I think he could be a very solid player in that secondary. He's a tough kid. He's smaller, but he'll play physical. He's smart. So he's a guy I want to see, this upcoming season take that next step.
When you were in the league, was there any offense that you were not a part of that you looked at and you're like, this scheme is sweet? Like, I would love to be in that offense with that offensive coordinator. I think 100% of your career was with Josh, if I'm not mistaken.
100% of mine. Like, I was there with Matty Pete. I just ended up retiring that year.
Right.
So, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 99.9%.
99.9.
Any offense that I would have liked to be a part of.
Or like a coordinator or anything?
I mean, obviously playing with the Chiefs, that would have been fun. Great create mismatches there with the weapons that they had when Tyreek, Travis Kelce and all that. Then to have myself coming out of the backfield, I've been feasting out there, creating a ton of mismatches. And then like during my few times I was a free agent, like, possibly going to the Packers when Aaron Rodgers was playing with another great quarterback, who spreads the ball around, who's going to look for the back in, mismatch situation. Did it with Aaron Jones. So that was always would have been a cool landing spot for me as well.
Staying on the topic of Aaron Rodgers, what do you think of the Jets this year? Or you think they're going to do well? Or
I mean, it's depending on the health of Aaron Rodgers. If he's there for all 17 games, that team very well, can make a title run. They had a lot of hype last season, from within their building, outside the building. Then 4 plays in, everything, goes awry. So if he's healthy, we all know what he can do. And Garrett Wilson, they get Mike Williams. They draft Malachi Corley, a good player out of Western Kentucky. So, and they beef up the offensive line. Those guys stay healthy, like Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses. You can very well see this team. The defense is going to be good. They've been very good over the last few years. Statistically, it wasn't great last year because they were on the field all the damn time. You can't give up 0 points.
They were still good though. That's the thing.
Still very good. So, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, this team can win the AFC East. They can make it to the Super Bowl, potentially, win a championship as well.
Yeah, James, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but honestly, I wouldn't hate, like, if the Patriots aren't going to be that good this year, I wouldn't mind the Jets doing well, like, for 1 year. And then they need
it. I mean, damn, they haven't
had it in so long, especially it would be so, like, it would just be interesting with Rodgers and that defense and the dynamic of that team. Like, when you think of what it could be in the playoffs, in the AFC, when every other team is kind of quarterback and offense driven. Yeah. I just feel like the dynamic of that would be very interesting.
Yeah, it would be, man, because look, it's going to be a big year for Robert Saleh, big year for Aaron Rodgers. Who knows if this is his last year? So, I mean, who knows how long he's going to continue to play? If they win a championship, I would assume he would keep playing. So, I think everybody wants to keep seeing great players continue to play in his league. So, I hope they have a ton of success just to keep watching Aaron Rodgers.
It's funny how when a guy wins a championship, everyone kind of thinks, oh, he's going to retire now. But obviously, we saw with Tom, that's not what happens. But, there's been a lot of Bill Belichick slander as of late. So I know you're a Bill guy. So I need you to give a genius Belichick story or a moment in a practice or a game or even a game plan meeting or whatever that stands out to you. Let the fans know Bill's that guy.
Specific story from a game. I won't say the person's name, but I remember we were playing all throughout the week. We were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I forget what year it was. All week long, he's talking about how their defensive front, when you throw the ball, past the line of scrimmage, they chase, they punch at the ball, like they're very active, yada, yada, yada. So first drive of the game, we come out there, we throw like a hitch route to obviously receiver, tight end, however you want to. I'm sure you can look it up. I'm pretty sure first play of the game.
Okay.
Outside linebacker strips the ball from the receiver, fumble, turnover. So come back to the meeting room, and obviously Bill, lets him have it. We talked about this shit ad nauseum. We told you the defensive linemen, they're going to chase, they're going to punch at the ball. Yeah, but it happens so many times. That's not just the one time it happened. There's That's just the one that vividly comes to my mind. But it happens a ton. Like when he reiterates stuff throughout the week, like 9 times out of 10, the shit happens, which is it's so crazy. He's just one of the most unique minds in the game of football. If you just trust what he's saying to you, you just go out there and execute it, you probably win a ton of football games.
Speaking of the Steelers, how were those games? Because for a couple years, man, that rivalry was that was. I know that the Patriots won like every game. You guys won like every game, but man, it was still a rivalry. Like there was something to it. There was heat there.
Yeah, that was another one of those matchups. I can't forget about the Steelers. The brand of football that they play, and when they had Le'Veon, Antonio Brown, Big Ben, all the weapons. I mean, Martavis Bryant when he was there, Juju when he was there, he was balling. So it was always. I mean, they got us a couple times on their home field, so it was always a tough matchup. That's one of my most favorite stadiums to play in. I know it's not called Heinz Field anymore; it's called like something else, but it's an electric atmosphere. The terrible towels, just the scene. Reminds me of Batman whenever I play.
The Dark Knight Rises, Heinz Ward. I remember watching the movie. I'm like, why is Heinz? And the most unrealistic thing in the movie is Heinz Ward's returning the kick. But anyways,
that's not realistic.
When you look across the NFL right now, obviously running back yourself, who do you think are like the best in the game right now? Like the 5 best running backs all around, best guys you would draft in order?
In order, I have to go McCaffrey first. Just a guy, obviously can do everything out there on the field. Catch the football, block, run with power, finesse. However you want to do it, gets the job done. Had a big year these last few years. And for the 49ers, number 2, I go Nick Chubb. I love watching him. He's just one of those like old school running backs. Not flashy. I mean, doesn't really catch the ball in the backfield like that, but you hand it to him, he can take it for 80. He can run physical, make you miss, and he's just a beast out there. I hope he gets back healthy this year and has another big year. Another guy, like I like watching guys that are similar to myself. So Alvin Kamara is another fun guy I like to watch. Because that's a guy I watched on tape a ton. Him, McCaffrey. I like to see how teams match up against them, and then they'll probably match up against me a similar type of way on third down because those guys are excellent out of the backfield too. Yeah. Ooh, that's where it gets tough. Here we go.
There's a lot of young ones too.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, got to throw my fellow Wisconsin guys in there. JT, I hope he'll be back healthy at the start of the season this year. So I know he's probably anticipating a big year. I'm expecting a big year from him. And number 5, ooh, that's tough. That 5th guy. I guess I like watching. I like watching Derrick Henry too, just because he's the unorthodox running back. He's tall, hard to bring down. He's faster than what you imagine too. I mean, I think that's the tough part about him. He's not only just a big ass dude. He's physical and he can run past you, take screen passes for touchdowns. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out right now, but there's
a lot of good ones. Yeah, I even think like Breece Hall last year.
Yeah, good. Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, Aaron Jones has been up there for a while. You brought him up earlier. Yep. I'm probably forgetting guys, but
Rashad White had a good solid second season.
Yeah, he did.
Young up and coming guy.
Saquon when he's on his game.
Can't forget about Saquon. So I think this will be a big year for him. I think we'll get a true tell of what the rest of his career looked like being in this situation with obviously a talented quarterback, talented receivers, good offensive line where the whole focus isn't on him. So you feel like he should feast. There should be easily 1,000-yard year, 10+ touchdowns, but we'll see what their offense looks like.
Yeah, it's nice to see him maybe behind a good offensive line for the first time, maybe ever. But yeah. Speaking of running backs, you actually brought up Wisconsin, JT. I know you played with great running backs as well in Wisconsin as well. So I want to play a little game here to finish up. Okay? We're going to match a running back that you played with each of these questions. Okay? So they're all going to be situations in a game where you would want this running back that you played with. So it could be in the pros.
Okay, college or NFL.
Or college. Okay? So, and I know there's a lot of them. So I'm probably going to forget. Okay? So let's start with short yardage run.
Short yardage run, LeGarrette Blount.
Big guy. Also, let's not repeat your answer. Okay,
Yeah,
let's not repeat your answer. All right, so blunts first. Which, by the way, you had him on your show, right?
Yep, I had him on the show. Yeah,
there you go check it out, guys. Number 2, need a breakaway 50-yard touchdown, which I think you could also say blunts in that conversation, weirdly enough. But give me another.
Breakaway 50-yard touchdown, Melvin Gordon.
I like that answer. That's solid. Number 3, give a pregame speech.
Ooh.
None.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm putting any of those.
No one? Not one?
Boy, damn. Yeah,
pregame personality. I don't know.
Personality-wise, but I can't repeat. Damn. I might go Brandon Bolden. I'll put Brandon Bolden in there.
That's actually that sounds like a good one for a speech, though. I don't know.
Out of everybody, I'll give it to him.
Okay. Ice a game. So at the end of the game, you need 3 runs to get a first down. You need this running back.
Ice a game. Damn. This tough. I'm going to go Monty Ball. Give it to Monty Ball.
See, I wouldn't have thought of that one. That's a good one, though. And then the last one, catch a key pass on 3rd down.
Ooh, catch a key pass, 3rd down. Ooh, this is tough. Some good ones. I'm going to go half and half here. I'm going to have to go either Dion Lewis or Rex Burkhead. I'll go with those 2 guys.
Okay. Hey.
Tough to choose between the 2.
I will say Dion in 2015, one of the players I wish would have played the whole year.
Yeah, man. He was balling.
He was sick. And Rex was super reliable, too.
Can't forget about Rex, man.
All right, man. We'll finish with this last question because I just want to ask to give love to a Patriot that maybe doesn't get enough love. Someone you played with that was like a locker room glue guy, somebody that deserves a shout out at the end of this interview.
I mean, I just recently said his name, Brandon Bolden. I think he's a guy who doesn't get enough credit, with the time that he was, with the Patriots. I know he went away with the Dolphins for a year, came back. Just what he did on special teams was epic, right in the shadows of Matthew Slater. And whenever his name was called upon on the offensive side of the ball, whether it was injuries or we drew up some special stuff for him, he just got the job done. Just one of those unsung heroes, tough, like he chiseled dude. One of my good friends who took me, under his wing, like him, LeGarrette Blount, like Dion Lewis, all those guys. They showed me the ropes for a young guy coming into that building. So yeah, Brandon Bolden deserves a huge shout out.
Shout out Brandon Bolden. So James, the people want to know, where can they find you for the Money Down podcast? I'm going to be checking them out, watching whatever I haven't watched already, and looking forward to the rest of the shows coming out. So let the people know where they can find you.
You can check out the Money Down podcast. We're on Instagram. We're on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, YouTube, at the Money Down podcast, TikTok. We're on all that stuff. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on everything. We have had some great guests so far. It's been entertaining. We like to keep it light, have fun. We also, we talk some serious stuff, some real life stuff. And I think that's what it's all about. Everybody has a money down moment in their life, whether it's on the football field, basketball court, or just in life in general. We all have a time where we have to bet on ourselves and, really lock in to get where we want to be. And that's what our podcast is all about.
All I know, James, is that when you came to the team, 2014, we started winning Super Bowls again. And when you retired, we stopped winning, period. So, hey, man, I don't know what it is. Maybe you have to suit up.
maybe coach the playoffs.
So we appreciate playoffs whenever we get there. All right. Pats Nation loves seeing you as a fan now. All-time legend, one of my favorite players. I said it already. Thank you so much for the interview, and can't wait to see what you do with life after football. I know you've already been out for a couple of years, but
thank you for having me. I enjoyed myself.
All right. Thanks, James. Appreciate it, man.